Welcome to the Veterans in Politics Talk Show. Join us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, live stream on Facebook. Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sanson and Stephanie Phillips with another episode of Veterans in Politics. Today we have Blain Jones. Blain is going to be discussing allegations of fraud involving judicial candidate Kurt Smith. So this is going to be a good one. But before we get to Mr. Jones, Ms. Phillips.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. And let's thank our sponsors. I'm going to start with Cody this time because we are wearing Cody Whipple's t-shirt.
Cody Whipple, Congressional District number 4.
Cody, the hat is for you too. And when you see our picture, I got my cowboy boots on too.
And Cody lives in this district, not like his opponent that lives in District 3.
Yes, Cody Whipple does live in CD4 and has for quite some time. Anyway, he is running for Congressional District 4, and his website is codykforcongress.com, and that is the number 4, codykforcongress.com. We also have Dr. Ari Nagy. He is running for Congressional District 3. His website is nagyforcongress.com, and that's F-O-R, nagyforcongress.com. We also have Dave Marlin. He is running for Las Vegas City Council, Ward 6. His website is daveforvegas.com, and that's F-O-R, daveforvegas.com. We also have Henderson's mayor, Michelle Romero. She's running for re-election. Her website is votemichelleromero.com. votemichelleromero.com. We also have Judge Jennifer Schwartz. She's running for re-election to District Court for Department 17. Her website is judgeschwartz.com, judgeschwartz.com. We also have Tim Ross with the North Las Vegas Hangars Association. If you would like to know more about that and what they do and advocate for, their website is VGTHOG. I always get that mixed up. VGTHOG.org. And also we have George Harris. George, we need your sign. That is your spot over there, and we still don't have your sign. Anyway, George Harris is running for Senate District 8, and his website is georgeharris.com, I believe. We need your sign, George. georgeharris.com. Also, don't forget to grab your copy of Steve's book, How to Navigate Nevada's Family Court System. If you are a litigant in family court and you don't have an attorney or you can't afford one, jump on Amazon and grab your copy of this book. It's $14.99 and it's a self-help book. It will help you navigate that system. We also have a merch store. It's VIPImerch.com, VIPImerch.com. There's all kinds of fun things for you to check out there. And also, I don't have a rant really. I just want to mention something before Steve mentions who our endorsed candidates were from last Friday and Saturday. You know, we've been ranting about these endorsement interviews and these candidates, and I just wanted to mention we had 4 candidates that were a no-call, no-show. One was Elaine Marzola. She is the incumbent for Assembly District 21. Tig, not sure how to pronounce your first name, Tig Galvin, District 21, did not show up, no call. And we also had Tamara Taylor and Daniel Hernandez for District 22, no call, no show. Just so that the voters are aware, they don't keep appointments that they had committed to. Go ahead.
So I want to mention the candidates. First, I want to thank everybody that all the panel members and staff that participated on the 17th and 18th of April with these endorsement interviews. I want to really thank them because they dedicated their time to come out here and interview and put these candidates on a live broadcast so that people could get to know who they are. But let me just read the endorsements. On Friday, we endorsed Crystal Newton, Nevada Assembly District 18. There was no endorsements for Assembly District 17, Assembly District 19, and Assembly District 20. On Saturday, April 18th, There was no endorsement for Assembly District 21, Assembly District 23, Assembly District 29, Assembly District 34, Assembly District 41, and Assembly District 42. But we did endorse Shanae Booth, Nevada Assembly District 22, Shania Booth, Assembly District 22, Rebecca Edgewater, Nevada Assembly District 35. Edgeworth. Thank you.
Doctor.
Thank you.
Doctor.
Dr. Rebecca Edgeworth, Assembly District 35. I don't have my glasses either.
I don't have my glasses either and stuff.
And Jill Douglas, Nevada Assembly District 37. Want to congratulate all the endorsed candidates that earned not only the Veterans in Politics International endorsement, but the Nevada Veterans Association endorsements. So congratulations to you.
Oh, and correction, guys. George Harris, his website is votegeorgeharris.com. Votegeorgeharris.com. Sorry, I forgot the vote part. All right.
Are you done with your
I'm
rant?
all done.
All right.
See, I didn't have a 5, 10, 20-minute rant.
That's true.
Yeah.
Not like mine
Not
was
like
over
yours,
12 minutes.
11:36.
Oh, you got it right down.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, we have Blain Jones. Mr. Jones, how you doing today, sir?
Good. How are you?
Good. Could you give us, thank you for coming.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Could you give us a bio, please?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Blain Jones. I've lived here in the Nevada, Las Vegas, Henderson area since back in 2004. So I've been around a little bit. Not a native, but I'm getting there, working on it. I've been working in the area over those last 22 years. I had a local business here in the area, which is, I think, how we originally got introduced a few years back and everything. I've been in the area and been a Nevadan for a little over 20 years now.
Okay. Well, what brought you here today?
Well, yeah, of course. So I wanted to, first of all, thank you for that opportunity to discuss this issue. And, I'll tell you, initially when I wanted to be able to reach out and talk to you about this, when you look at people that are going to run for political office, and especially a judge who has a lot of impact on individuals' lives, a politician, someone up in the state assembly or the state, government, of course, impacts people's lives. But a judge can impact someone's life directly by the decisions and the way that they handle certain things in that person's life. And I unfortunately had the bad luck to run into a gentleman named Kurt Smith, who is a local lawyer here in the Henderson area, was where his office is located, and he's currently running for judge.
Department P, family court.
Yes, family court, exactly, which is obviously a very personal, court and a lot of personal issues that are dealt with in that circumstances there in that courtroom. And so, when you think about a judge, you want to make sure that person is the best of the lawyers that are practicing that area of law, right? And Kurt Smith is just not that. And unfortunately, through some of his actions that, I've had the unfortunate circumstances to deal with him over the last few years, I've seen that to be true. And, I think you guys have some other things to share as well with that. So it kind of really is a good opportunity. And again, thank you to be able to shed some light on this individual's character.
Well, tell us how he damaged you.
Yeah. So back in 2021, I mentioned that I, had a family business, a small business here in the Las Vegas area. We ran into some hard times and some things that had happened that, forced the company to go down the line of filing bankruptcy and really looking like it needed to shut down. And as some individuals that are small business owners know, sometimes you got to put your own personal credit on the line with that small business. And I had done that. I had signed some personal guarantees, some of the business loans for some equipment purchases with the business. And I was concerned that with the company going out of business and filing bankruptcy, that those creditors would come after me individually to, be able to retain the money from losing out on those loans. And my wife, was obviously concerned about this and she called around, and we were seeking counsel from various attorneys, bankruptcy attorneys, asset protection attorneys. She happened to call Kurt Smith's office, and she liked what he had to say, and we arranged to go down and meet with him in his office in person. And this was, again, back in April of 2021. And so basically I kind of gave him, the groundwork of kind of the situation and kind of where we were at. And what he advised me and my wife to do at the time was basically do a legal separation, specifically, or as a separate maintenance order and a decree of separate maintenance.
Is that to freeze? That means you won't be responsible for her bills and she won't be responsible for your bills.
Correct.
Okay.
So, and that was the way he explained it to me, was in order to protect the assets should something happen with these business creditors coming after me individually, this would be a way to protect that. And so he pitched me this idea to basically assign all of the assets to her, my wife, and me take all of the liabilities. In the case that something were to happen, I could then file bankruptcy. She would keep everything. We'd end that situation.
That's what he recommended.
That's what he recommended.
Okay.
And then, we could rejoin the marriage and set aside everything, and everything would be fine.
One set of blows over.
Correct.
Were you going through a divorce at that?
No, not at that time, not at all.
Okay.
At the time, marriage was great. Obviously, we had these issues with the company and everything that I had going on that were a cause of stress. And I had some health issues a few months prior to that as well. So we were in a state of sort of confusion and looking something to help sort of solve some of the problems that we had going on. But us together as a marriage at that point in time, we were fine and everything was going well with our relationship.
Okay.
So he pitched me this idea, assign all the assets over to her, me keep all the liabilities. And he then told me, what we're going to do to protect you and your interests, Blain, is we're going to also sign a set-aside order, the two of you and your wife sign the set-aside order, which will basically negate this legal separation and everything that you did there, and put everything back to 50-50 community property. He said, that's your protection. That's
so you
your
had two orders, one separation and one back together again.
Correct. And so he said that was my protection, and that was my fail safe in case something were to go the way that I didn't want it to go. So he drafted all the documents. We returned back to his office, a few days later, and signed everything.
How much you paid him?
That's a good question. I'd have to look it up.
Ballpark.
I think it was 2,000, maybe less than that, somewhere in that ballpark. So not a huge amount of money, but a little bit of money there to have him advise me to do this, and draft all the paperwork and file it and all that kind of stuff.
And you signed a retainer with him, right?
Yes. Yep. We
So
absolutely
did your wife.
Correct.
He's a family court attorney, pretty
He
much
is.
in general.
That
for the most part.
My understanding, that's his area of expertise. I've come to learn through some other things that we can get into, and seeing that he did actually work with another attorney at one point in time that worked on bankruptcy. So he had a little bit of seeing some of that and how it worked and what have you, which I think is kind of why he came up with this cockamamie scheme.
Because where did the asset protection knowledge come from?
Yeah.
To advise you on that,
Good question.
because that to me sounds like, and I had read some of your stuff
Sure.
before, but that sounds very sketchy.
Yep.
That he would advise you to do that, because I think when a judge, a BK judge, when they see assets moving around like that in the previous, 12 months prior to filing, that
Sure.
they will make you
Undo that.
reverse that stuff. So why go through all of that trouble? And maybe you haven't got to that part yet.
Well, and this is kind of the crux of the matter, right? You go to somebody as an attorney because they're supposed to be the expert. They're supposed to know the law.
Right.
They're supposed to represent your best interests,
Yeah.
and that's what you're paying them to
Like
do.
a mechanic
Yeah.
fixing a car.
Or a CPA.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or whatever professional is
Yeah.
providing that service, you're entrusting you and your interests with that person. And, you have that's the foundation of that agreement. And there's that trust there, right? Unfortunately, what he advised me to do was not something that one should be advised to do.
Is it completely illegal?
That's what it sounds like.
Did it look that way? Seem that way?
Sure, the hell is unethical.
What did the judge think of that when they?
So we never had any interaction with the judge. It was just something that he filed those documents and he dealt with that. We never went to court to file the documents. He handled all of it electronically with the clerk, and that was that.
Any fallout from doing that after you filed?
Yeah. So basically, kind of the next steps after we put all that in place in April, I, personally, I didn't like the idea of going and filing bankruptcy individually. I worked extremely hard to find buyers for the equipment of those loans, worked through the bankruptcy, worked with the bankruptcy trustee to get the sales approved. And in less than a year after that point in time, I was able to sell all the equipment. And the funds obviously went directly to those creditors. And again, through the bankruptcy trustee. And I worked really hard to do that. I didn't like the feeling of the thought of filing bankruptcy and just walking away from everything and, shaking my, I didn't like that. It's not who I am. Didn't feel good. It's not who I am. So I worked extremely hard, got all of those equipment sold, paid off the creditors, to the best of my ability with that. So luckily I never had, no creditors came after me. I didn't have to file bankruptcy individually, never had to act or do anything in that regard because of all the work I did to sell off those pieces of equipment and pay back those business lenders.
So they just settled for whatever that was,
Yep.
and you got to move on. Okay, That's great.
So, I figured everything was fine. Everything was good. And then as usually it happens, something happened, right? Years later, back in 2024, ran into some marital issues with my wife and contacted Kurt Smith in his office and asked him to file that set aside to undo everything we had done and have everything go back to a normal marriage, 50-50 community property. And he refused to do it. He
Wasn't
said
that
no.
the original agreement?
It was absolutely the original agreement. It's what he told me was my protection and my assurance, to keep my interests,
So he reneged.
He did.
Was
Absolutely.
he talking to your wife behind the scenes and she didn't want him to file it?
Was
he working like double time?
Yeah, at that point in time, I wasn't aware of anything. Some stuff had kind of come out after the fact.
What came out? Was he having some type of relationship with your wife?
I don't know.
Like a pro bono thing?
I can't speak to anything like that.
Because it sounds like he's on your wife's side and not on your side anymore.
Well, he represents his reasoning for why he didn't do what he said he was going to do and file that for me was that it was not what both clients wanted, right? So
but that was a deal.
That wasn't a deal.
Did you pre-sign this?
Yes.
Or both of you pre-signed it?
Yes.
All he had to do was go file it.
Yes.
So how come you guys didn't take it and go file it with the court and
Because
go around him?
Kurt Smith needed his signature.
And he didn't sign it when you guys signed it?
No.
Well,
Why
ain't that something?
You
Kurt.
should have had him sign it and then get a
Holy
copy of it.
cow.
Yeah.
That's what I would have did.
Again,
because I don't trust nobody.
It gets back to that point that I made earlier. You go to a professional, and in this case, a legal professional, because I don't know the law. You don't know the law as well as an attorney does. You don't know the law as well as an attorney.
But I don't trust nobody.
But still, that you rely on that professional, just like we rely on our CPAs to file our taxes and to fill out the papers properly. I don't know that stuff. People rely on me. I'm a real estate broker. For me to handle their paperwork and their home and their transaction, the whole thing. That's a huge investment, and people rely on professionals like that, just like attorneys. That's a really good point, and they should be ethical. And they should know their law, they should know their job, and we should be able to rely on people like that are licensed to do a job.
They take an oath to do that.
Yes, they do.
Part of taking that position.
So what did you do to rectify this backstabber?
Yeah, so moving forward now to 2026, I actually contacted a malpractice attorney to file a suit because unfortunately at the beginning of this year, actually the tail end of last year, my wife and I decided we actually did want to get a divorce and actually, part ways. And of course now she's, trying to keep all
She
the
has
assets.
all your assets.
You got all the debt.
I got all
That
of
sounds like a perfect divorce to me.
So again, I went back to Kurt Smith and I asked him to file that. He again said no. So I hired a malpractice attorney and I have a suit against Kurt Smith. Initially, it was filed for professional negligence, not following instruction from their client, etc. There's numerous things, and we can obviously share the documents for anybody who wants to see. It's public record.
And what's the case number and when did you file this?
Yeah, good case number. It was
next hearing. Maybe we should go court observe.
well, it was filed in January of this year.
Was it in district court?
It was in district court here in Clark County, Nevada.
What's the case number?
It is A as in Alpha 26937664, C as in Charlie, Department 23.
And you're the plaintiff.
I'm the plaintiff.
And who's the defendant? Kurt Smith and who else?
Smith Legal Group, that's his firm, and Kurt Smith.
Okay.
And simultaneously, you have a divorce
Correct.
going on, and who's your judge in that?
My judge in that case is White, Judge White.
Oh, Rincon White.
Yes.
Okay. Great judge.
So what happens if he comes
good
back
judge.
and say, no, I never said that. I never agreed to none of
So he has. He's gone on record because he
Another
filed.
lie.
He filed.
You
a
got to
motion-
double down.
He filed a motion to dismiss the case, my malpractice case. Luckily, the judge issued a minute order to move the case forward and continue the case. So he's on the record now lying and saying that this was never his plan. He wasn't the one that advised this. He never said that he would file the set aside, etc., in his motion proceedings to dismiss. And he also was deposed in my divorce case, saying the same thing. Well, he did a lot of I don't know and I don't remembers.
Of course.
Is
in
he
the
represent? He's representing your wife in the divorce.
No, he's not. He's not.
Oh.
He did walk away and sign himself off with representation.
So now he's committing perjury.
Correct.
And he's an attorney, so they're supposed to have a higher standard.
Like I said, they're supposed to be the ones that you hold in the highest regard,
Mm-hmm.
especially
there's
ones that
no-
go to be a judge.
And there's no email, there's no text, there's no way to prove that he said this and was going to do this.
Fortunately, he I think knew what he was doing, and didn't put any of that in an email or any sort of written proof. It was all done verbally in his office.
But your ex is a witness to the whole
Yeah,
thing, right?
what'd
Correct.
she say about it?
Well, of course, she wants to keep all the assets, so she's fine with Kurt lying and saying what he's saying.
So
right
now
now.
she's backing up the lie, which she's allegedly
Well, you could
lying
depose
to,
her as well.
right?
Yeah, and maybe it'll get to that. I think she'll obviously take the stand in the divorce case, and that's planned. As far as in the malpractice case, if it comes to that, then
Are you suing for monetary damages?
yes, yep.
How much is
So
that?
obviously, I have. It's hard to calculate right now because it depends on how the divorce case goes. If the judge sees that this legal separation wasn't a valid legal separation and removes it, then my damages are a lot less, because if everything goes back to 50-50 community property the way it should go, I don't have a lot of damages. Of course, I have court fees and attorney's fees and all that kind of stuff that I've had to pay to fight this. But I'm not losing out on a lot of the assets that should be community property that, according to legal separation, aren't.
Who's your attorney?
Danielle Dawson with Nevada Family Law.
That is very difficult because it seems like it's like the chicken and the egg. Which one has to come first? Because a settlement on this, I guess Judge Rincon White could look at this and say that he was advising you to do something that was not legal
Or ethical?
or ethical, and but then that's going to affect this, and and vice versa, because the evidence brought forward in this case is going to go towards what you're doing in family court, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
So that is,
It's
you're in a
unfortunate-
pickle.
Yeah, bad situation.
But we've done some investigation on Kurt Smith.
Heard.
You want to elaborate, Mr.?
Well, it's interesting that you came and got in touch with Steve because and had this story. And thank you for coming. Most people won't come on
by
the
the way,
show.
you're not the only one. There is
No.
2 or 3 other people out there with almost the exact same story you have.
Yeah, well, like I said, I appreciate the opportunity to be able to shed some light on this, because people that go to be a judge should be the best of the attorneys in that practicing field. And like I said it before, Kurt Smith is not.
Well, a lot of people won't come on the show. They're either scared or they just don't want, their name out there or whatever. But it was brought to our attention that when he filed for judicial office in January, on his judicial questionnaire, they ask you if you have ever been disciplined.
Yep.
And his answer was no. And then when I looked him up on the Nevada bar, right here, Kurt Smith, it is a public reprimand from the Nevada bar filed August 15th of 2018. So to me, your answer should have been yes, you have been disciplined. So that was another lie. The other...
Sorry, so you won't lose your train of
Oh,
thought.
no, go ahead.
But on that one, Veterans in Politics filed 2 complaints against him because of that. One with the Judicial Discipline Commission because he's running as a judicial candidate, so he falls under that umbrella. And the other is with the State Bar. They received those 2 complaints, but I have not yet received any response what they're going to do with it.
Well, with what
But they got it.
Yeah, well, with what we've seen of their performance in the past, who knows what they'll end up doing. Hopefully they'll do something, because that was just clear and blatant. And then there's, of course, the article I was reading in the RJ about when he went into, for jury duty, he was called. And they had seated him on the jury. He was upset because he had cases to do. And this was in Ron Israel's courtroom. This was, 2015, I think. Mm-hmm. And so he was upset about that. And Israel admonished him and said to sit over here quiet, or he was going to hold him in contempt. And so the next day, Kurt Smith comes walking into court 30 minutes late is what the article said. And the judge said, you're going to do a couple days in jail. I think he only ended up doing 1 day in jail. But lack of respect, in my opinion, from reading that, arrogance, dishonesty, right here. And then the other litigant that, and I've seen.
What's that case number with the State Bar reprimand?
This is the reprimand.
If they wanted to look it up.
You probably see better than I can. I don't know.
Oh,
I forgot my glasses. That's terrible.
Oh, there's no there's oh yes, it's case number, the State Bar reprimand is case number OBC 17-1244. In case anybody wants to look it up or challenge us saying that we're putting out fake news.
Well, I have seen multiple comments on Facebook. People say all kinds of things and make claims, but a lot of this you can go back and actually look at these documents. But Mitch Keller, him and his wife, and I've spoken with him several times, and he gave me permission to. He said, "You can say my name," but Mitch Keller and his wife Dawn, they were going to get a divorce, and they went into court, and it was in Judge Mary Perry's courtroom. They went in pro se, and then Mitch this is Mitch's story. This is what he has relayed to me, that he had a consultation with Kurt Smith, but didn't end up retaining him, didn't use him because he looked up this kind of thing and did some research on Kurt and didn't want to use somebody like that. So fast forward, apparently his wife's mother got a hold of Kurt Smith and retained him and paid him money on to,
Block him from-
well, to help her daughter, which is Mitch's wife. So the mother retained Kurt, but Kurt never even spoke to the wife. They never had, according to the wife and Mitch, they never ever had a conversation, but he goes into court acting like he's representing her, and they've never even spoken. So anyway, but in prior, he had spoken to the husband, which he got personal information. Total conflict of interest. So of course, Judge Perry recognized that and moved to disqualify him. He takes it to the Supreme Court. He didn't file the filing fees, so then the Supreme Court is after him for those filing fees. Gave him a deadline. He hasn't paid it. Hasn't responded to them. This is still ongoing, and this is over the last. This is happening now. Yeah, the Supreme Court case. You can find it, and it's all there. And I'm condensing this to make it a very short story here, but it is stunning all of the things that have happened in that case.
The audacity of somebody to do something like that, but then still put his name on a ballot to try and be a judge.
I know, yeah. And I've seen other comments of people that are just, there's all kinds of stories out there, and people have had run-ins with him and bad experiences with him. And it's amazing. So when we saw and heard your story, because we had already talked with Mitch, he had gotten in touch with us, right away, and it's amazing how unethical some of these people can be, and they're supposed to be the most ethical.
Absolutely.
Have you filed a bar complaint?
I've not. No, it's not something I've done.
Maybe that's something you probably want to consider.
Yeah.
I mean, the more the merrier.
Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And with the Nevada Judicial Discipline Commission.
Yeah, because he is running for judgeship, so he falls under that umbrella as well.
Okay, good. Well, I might need to get some more details from you guys off, after this and follow up with that.
Yeah, there's both. One of them you can file online. Which one you file online?
The
The
state bar.
State bar is online, and the judicial discipline
Okay.
you have to mail in.
Okay.
But I would say to the viewers and whoever is watching, if this kind of story sounds familiar to you, or if you have had run-ins with this attorney, give us a call, because this is the kind of thing that just puts distrust in the public, and especially running for a judicial seat. It's just not right. That should not happen. And you should be honest, ethical, and fair. And, but if anyone else has a story like that, reach out to us. We'd like to hear it.
Mr. Jones, anything you want to add?
No, like I said, I wanted to thank you again for the opportunity. I wanted to come on here and speak with you guys and speak to everybody to kind of just shed some light on some of his activities and his just dishonest, fraudulent behavior. And again, it's someone's running for judge. They're supposed to be the best of the attorneys of the pool in that area of law, and Kurt Smith is not. He's just not. I mean, it's amazing to me, because when I contacted you, obviously I knew my story, but then you guys are sharing all the other things about him too. It's really a terrible pattern of behavior on his point or on his part, and it's good to be able to do something like this to hopefully stop him from being able to wrongly affect other people's lives. Because when you're a judge, you have direct impact on people's lives, and Kurt Smith should not have that power.
Well, and the public should know, and that's a lot of what we do is let the public know, who's running, the background. We have a lot of family court litigants that come on and talk about their stories, so the public can see what goes on with some of these CPS cases, family court. All this is very important stuff. Your case here is the malpractice case is with Judge Lily Spells, correct?
Correct.
So when is your next hearing?
You know, I don't have that information in front of me right now, or I could look it up, obviously, and we could share it later. But the minute decision to move the case forward was just issued within the last week or two. Okay. So that's really fresh. So I don't know what the next court hearing is for that.
Do you have another court hearing set for family court?
Currently, it's towards the end of May, but they're looking to push it out to July currently, and working on getting that filed.
Has your attorney asked for email, text messages between Kurt and your wife back then? Because maybe there was some separate communication outside of you. So
yeah, I think that's definitely something that they're going to look into to try and get some of that and subpoena that, right? You know, Kurt is in his deposition on my divorce case offered, obviously, to be able to provide a lot of documentation. Whether or not he does and provides everything, that's another story, right? You know, I'm leaving it up to my attorneys to be able to navigate that and file subpoenas as needed.
Let us know on both of those, actually, because I know we would like to go court observe and watch these cases in both family court and this one. Yeah, that would be very interesting to follow this case.
Yeah, you know, and what it comes down to for me is I'm not asking for anything more than 50-50 in my divorce. I just want everything to be equitable, to be fair. It's clearly not working out with me and my wife. We have a young son together. I want him to know his mother. I want them to have a great relationship. And, you know, I want to be in his life, and I want us to figure out this situation moving forward. And all I want is 50-50 across the board, and for us to go our separate ways and you know, find happiness in some other way.
That's unfortunate that she knew the whole reason behind you signing these agreements from back then.
To protect her.
To protect your family, her, your assets, and things like that, albeit, you know, not the most ethical or I'm sure against the law or some kind of something that he advised you to do. As soon as I read that, I thought, no, that doesn't sound right at all. And but
hindsight's 20/20, right?
Well,
you know?
no, I get that, and that's not your fault because because you got the advice of an attorney. But I'm surprised that your wife wouldn't recognize that, because that to me is a character and an integrity issue, that if that's what your original intent was, that you uphold that. I mean, regardless of, you know, you're getting divorced, but you still have to work it out.
And that was 100% the intent when we went to Kurt Smith, is I wanted to figure out a way to protect my wife, and you know, I had these personal issues that luckily I was able to take responsibility for and make it to where they weren't ever a problem. But I wanted to protect her, and that was what the intention to do so. And I'm not here to, you know, throw her under the bus and speak badly of her. At the end of the day, like I said, I just want 50-50. I want us to be able to figure out how to co-parent together and you know, give my son a good life.
I'm sure one of those emails must have said something about what the plan was.
Yeah, unfortunately, nothing. I went back through my email correspondence with Kurt Smith in his office, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to find anything where, you know, he was putting down his recommendation, his plan, and his pitch in an email. It was, with me at least, it was all done in person in his office.
Okay.
Does your wife know that you're doing this?
I don't believe, no, she doesn't. We're obviously not in communication right now, and you know, I didn't.
What about your lawyer?
I did. I mentioned to my lawyer, let her know that you know, I was planning to do this, and obviously discussed it with her to, you know, make sure she was aware of it and any sort of ramifications that could come about. But ultimately, obviously, I made the decision to be here, and here I am. So
well, it's getting your story out there to let the public know, and these other things, and I think that's doing the public a service, and we thank you, and all the family court litigants that come forward and tell their stories, because they're painful. And terrible. So I'm glad that you could tell your story.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys again for giving me the opportunity.
Well, Mark's going to zoom in on you, and you have the final closing. You could say whatever you want. You could talk about the upcoming election, or you could also have people contact you if you want them to, and give them any type of communication.
Yeah, again, for those that listen, I won't recap everything, but I would like to encourage anybody that has had a situation like mine with any candidate or, attorney or what have you, come forward. Sure, it's a personal situation, and that was definitely a hesitancy on my part, and wanting to, keep my life private and everything. But at the end of the day, as I said, these judicial candidates, these people that we put in power to make decisions on behalf of us and our community, should be held accountable for their actions. And we don't need people like Kurt Smith given that power. And, if I have one thing to say to Kurt, all I'm asking for and all I ever wanted you to do is tell the truth.
Thank you. Ms. Phillips, you have any closing remarks?
It's a shame.
Well, folks, these programs, they're supposed to help educate you, especially candidates that are on our ballot. We need to know exactly who they are. And here we have a family court candidate for Department P. And when you hear family court, you know how veterans in politics have been fighting corruption regarding the judicial system, especially family court, for years. And we have an individual that was arrested by Judge Israel. And not only was he arrested by Judge Ron Israel, who's a district court judge, been on the bench for years, he had a public reprimand by the state bar. Not only did he have the public reprimand by the state bar, he went before the Clark County voter registry, Clark County Department, and filed for a judicial seat and lied that he never had any type of reprimand. So his integrity is really in question. People like that you just don't want to put on the bench, especially somebody running for any type of judicial seat. You just don't want nothing to do with them. And if anybody out there has, because I've heard more stories besides Mr. Jones, talk about how badly Kurt Smith is. If anybody has any more stories, come on. Give us a call, 702-283-8088, which is my personal number. Your number, Ms. Phillips?
702-339-6436.
Give us a call, and we will facilitate you and bring you on the show so you could tell the public what's going on with these particular judicial candidates, because the public needs to know. Again, this is Steve Sampson, Stephanie Phillips with Veterans in Politics. Until next time.
Join us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, live stream on Facebook.